hosting for Hindu University of America. Our webinar today is we're going to go from alphabet to enlightenment, right? We're going to be talking about the beauty of the Saṃskṛtam language and how amazing the Bhagavad Gita is, and it allows us to dive deep into so many profound concepts, and how we have this amazing program and faculty and students that have gone through it one time, and they're going to share their experience with you, right? Because we know Sanskrit is such a beautiful, powerful language. We know the Bhagavad Gita is an amazing scripture, but we rely on translations, right? And so much is lost in translation. And so understanding it in the Samskritam is a powerful journey and experience. And I know a lot of folks aren't familiar with Samskritam, they aren't familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, but this brings it together in a really thought out, structured program that's designed to help you learn Sanskrit while engaging with the text. So this is a multi-year program, but you can be a beginner, you can be an enthusiast. It really helps you get to true linguistic and philosophical fluency. So it's got these dual purposes. So it's an amazing program that we have put together, and leading it is Sri Satish Srinivasan. He's the HOA Sanskrit faculty. He's been on board with us for years, but he's the driving force on this certificate program of Bhagavad Gita through Samskritam, the CSBG. The CSBG is what we call it. He actually has his own first career, right? Bachelor's degree in engineering. He did 2 decades of everything, I think, at the highest level in the IT professional industry with Accenture, Deloitte, Infosys. But he's taken all of that, and because of his deep commitment to Samskritam, the whole learning and the revival of the language, he's taught with the Arsha Vidya Bharati since 2019, and we are glad to have him at Hindu University of America leading a second cohort now, right? This is the Amit and Sairamji are from your first cohort, and now we have a second cohort that's going into this certificate program. So with that brief introduction, let me hand it to Satishi to get us started, and then I will share the slides when you request.
Go ahead and start sharing the slides, Ankurji. So bring up the first page, and then we'll go from there. So good day, everyone. I'm really excited. So to be honest, this is like the first time I'm doing this webinar in 4 years. The last time we did this webinar, we started this program back in 2022, and I have a cohort that is completing this webinar, completing this program this September. So we've come a long way. So we've had students that had no understanding of Sanskritam. They are pretty proficient today, and they are about to graduate this program this September. I do have a couple of colleagues, couple of students here, Sairamji and Amitavaji, who will speak later today. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this program. Okay, and then I will dive a little bit into my teaching style, how I approach this program, what this program comprises of, and so on and so forth. We will also talk about what are some of the prerequisites for the program, what is the commitment, how many hours of lecture you get, what is the learning commitment, homework, assignments, examinations. We'll talk about all of that. In the middle, we'll also have Amitavaji and Sairamji talk about their experiences, how they've gone through this 4-year journey, and what their perspective on that has been. And then I will round up the webinar talking about specifically what this program will equip you with, what you will come out of it on the other side. Okay, so a little bit of background about myself, Ankurji has already given. So I've been teaching Sanskrit since 2019. So I have a full-time day job at Accenture. So, but however, for me, Sanskrit is a passion. And the reason that I continue to first of all be a student of Sanskrit, and also continue to be a teacher of Sanskrit, it gives me a lot of joy. Unfortunately, as it stands, I teach only one single cohort at a time. So the last time, like I said, we did this webinar. We started off a batch in October of 2022. September 2026, we are here, and we are ready for that group to graduate, and they are going to wrap it up this September. And then I want to start my next one this this October. So I'm really excited about this program. This is a particular program that's very close to my heart, and the other thing is this is also a one of a kind program. See, one of the things about Sanskrit is that you learn the language, but in this program, not only do you learn the language, but you also get to learn some literature alongside it, and that kind of equips you in a manner where, as you come through this program, you're not only learning Sanskrit, not only learning the Bhagavad Gita in its original authentic Sanskrit text, but you're also well equipped to be able to read other texts, other similar texts. Um, and the second thing that I want to talk about here is the experience that you will get through the program. Is there's going to be a lot of Sanskrit. There's going to be a lot of hand holding right at the outset. We will use a lot of English to teach because many of you are going to come in as beginners into this program. So my approach to teaching is very simple. Um, I want to ensure that I handhold and carry each one of you through this program. So you're going to learn Sanskrit. You're going to start as a beginner, but you're going to learn through all of the Sanskrit grammar. You're going to be comfortable reading, writing, and speaking Sanskrit. And at the and in parallel, you're going to be reading a very important literature in Hindu philosophy, the Bhagavad Gita, which will continue to enhance your Sanskrit capabilities. Okay, and also enrich you with understanding of the Bhagavad Gita and the learnings that we can take away in our lives from the Bhagavad Gita, devoid of any specific type of commentary, right? So we know that there are many schools of thought in Hinduism. Each one of them interprets the Bhagavad Gita in a different way. Nothing wrong with that. There are many eminent personalities throughout history that have interpreted this text and have offered a lot of insight. So, which has been very eye opening for many of us in our lives. But however, this program allows you to keep all of that in mind. No doubt, you follow a school of thought, or you just come in, open-minded. But you will read the text yourself, and you have the opportunity to take away what you want from the text in its most original form. Okay, so we will not be following a particular theology or a particular doctrine, one particular school of thought. We are not going to be doing any of that. So this is going to be a program that is for everybody. So that's one thing that I want to clarify upfront. Second, Sanskrit, right? See, Sanskrit is a very unique language. And you could learn Sanskrit in different ways, but this is my approach, right? First, you want to understand um, the what, right? What are the constructs? How do you build your sentences? What are the important grammatical concepts? And how do you basically understand the various components of Sanskrit, which could be the different conjugations, how you are going to conjugate different nouns, different verbs, how are you going to tense different verbs, how do you construct your sentences. Now, there's all of that is the what behind it. And in my experience, it is very important that first of all, you understand the what, right? What is something in Sanskrit? You need to learn it first as a language, and then you need to go into the special aspect of the language. Why is the language a little bit different? What is generative grammar? And then you understand, how Sanskrit is styled a little bit differently, how you have the verbal root at the core, and from there you can derive and generate everything in a very programmatic manner. And all of that is going to follow later. Now, if I start with that, I'm going to lose you, right? So my approach is always a very simple approach. Simplify the topic first, make you understand it, and then explain the how behind it, how and why behind it. So that is my approach. So let's go back to the slide, Ankurji. Let's talk a little bit about Sanskrit itself. The earliest known version of Sanskrit we all know is through the famous extant text, the Rig Veda, and which gave rise to a very original form of Sanskrit called the Vedic Sanskrit, the Vedic language, with its different chandas and the ability to transmit the language through checksums and all of those things orally without having the need to write it, but still the data transmission was so robust and accurate, right? And then we went through a period of classical usage, and you had the Ramayana and the Bhagavad Gita and all of that. And as you go through this program, you will see that the Bhagavad Gita is written in epic Sanskrit. That's your box number 2. Now, the epic Sanskrit is a period of Sanskrit before the rigor of Panini's grammar set in, that codified and formalized the language into its current classical system. But the epic Sanskrit also includes many aspects and remnants of the Vedic system that you will find. So you will find that Bhagavad Gita sits right in the middle in that box number 2. So in a sense that you will also get a little bit of understanding of what are some of the constructs that are no longer part of Panini's classical grammar, but have been there as part of language, as part of the Vedic usage. Okay. So we will touch upon the grammar aspect from a Panini's perspective. In fact, I let Amitavaji, Sairamji talk about it a little bit. We did touch upon some of the sutras and some of the concepts of generative grammar. We used Sandhi and we used Shiva Sutras and some aspects of Panini's Ashtadhyayi to learn and understand those particular concepts of the language, like sandhis, pratyayas, and etc., etc. So again, those are advanced topics. We will get there in years 3 and year 4. But right at the outset, it will be a very simple process. Okay, so one thing I can assure you is no student left behind. Concepts explained in a simple manner. We are not going to start out with classical grammar, generative grammar, no language theory at the outset, right? But the other thing that I like to do is, add in a little bit of trivia regularly in our classes too, so you understand, where something is leading you to. Okay. Throughout the course, we've studied many stories, many interesting verses from texts that are not Bhagavad Gita. Other texts as well that I have shared in the class include verses from Ramayana, verses from, if I remember right, Amitavaji, Sairamji, we also covered a couple of texts from Kadambari and a few other interesting works as well. So we will get to all of those as well. So one thing that I want to clearly assure you is that you will start easy. You will see the beauty of the grammar unfold, the beauty and structure of the language, the power of the language coming to life over the course of the period. But you'll have to stay the course of the program. Okay, so it is not going to happen overnight. So if you start, I do one quarter, 2 quarters, you cannot expect to become an expert. So you'll have to stay the course. Now, before I go into the details of your commitment in terms of how many hours of lecture is going to be there, what you need to do, I want to bring Amitavaji and Sairamji to talk about their experiences for each for about 4 or 5 minutes. I will start with Amitavaji, who is first of all, he's a very eminent person. So he's a surgeon in the University of Louisville, and he's also doing his MA Sanskrit, right? So he's in the final stretches of his MA Sanskrit program. But he's also been a student of this particular program. He takes a lot of pride being a student of this program. So I will bring him on without much ado. So Amitavaji, why don't you go ahead, talk about your experiences in this program. You're on mute, Amitavaji.
Okay. Namaste. Gurubhyo Namaha. It's a great pleasure for me to be part of this webinar. To introduce myself, I'm a professor of orthopedic, plastic and hand and microsurgery at the University of Louisville. And I've started learning Sanskrit since 2022. Since then, I've started this course and done this, about to finish this Bhagavad Gita program. I've gained tremendously from this, particularly due to the teaching style of Satishji, and he has taught from the beginning, from Varnamalas straight on to the various intricacies of Sanskrit grammar, and then on to the analysis of Bhagavad Gita. So we start Varnamala, and then you start Sangya, and then, Sanskrit is very simple. It's Dhatu and Pratyaya. So we started about dhatu, all the dhatus. Then we started about pratyaya, the sanadi pratyaya, the krit pratyaya, ting pratyaya, tadit pratyaya. And then we talked about subantas and visarga sandhis, ha sandhis, ach sandhis, and samasa. So those are, concepts which will as you said, we learn in third and fourth year. And you go on, become very proficient in the language. At the same time, I was doing my master's, and so it was a tough going. I had to do 4 classes every week, plus my complex work schedule. So it's a little juggling, but it works. You can make it work. So in terms of Bhagavad Gita, it's an amazing book. I mean, once you read it and once you go through it the way it's taught by Satishji, you will understand that it's an incredible text, and it will teach you a lot of philosophy. Remember, it's taught in a battlefield. It's never taught under a tree, not in the Himalayas. It's taught in a battlefield. It's taught to a warrior, Arjuna. There's a dialogue between, not a monologue, it's a dialogue. And then it's a Dharma Shastra, it talks about Dharma. And it's also Samanvaya Shastra, that means integrates the opposite stance of spiritual thought. So if you look at Bhagavad Gita, you can call it a Dharma Shastra, you can call it a Yoga Shastra, because it tells you all the things about yoga. And so think about the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. It's Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Kurvata Sanjay. The first word is Dharma. The last verse of Bhagavad Gita, Sanjay Vacha. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Tatra Partha Dhanutara Tatra Sri Vijayo Dhuti Dhruva Nimit Mama. Mama is the last word. So Dharma, Mama. That's where I look at it. That's my Dharma. And you have, it is reassuring that Bhagavan says that he will protect Dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya gnani rubhavati bharataha abhyuthanam dharmasya tadantanam srijannaham. So now that I'm here, what should I do? The answer is hidden in the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. If you look at it, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. You rearrange the words, it will be Kshetre, Kshetre, Dharmam Kuru. That means in every moment, in every place, you act in Dharma, Mama Dharma. So that's what we look at it. It teaches you the nature of the self. Na jayate mriyate va kadachi. Nayam bhutva bhavitya na bhuyaha ajo nitya shastratam purano na anyate anyamane sarire. And then it tells you are not the body. You are not the body. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani granate naroparani yatha sharirani vihaya jirnani nenani prashanyate navani dehi. So many concepts it teaches you all the yoga shastras. And Vivekananda said that each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity by controlling nature. Do this by work, worship, psychic control, philosophy, one or all of these. So it's a question of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. You can pick whatever you want to do. And if you give Sri Krishna, if you give Bhagavan even a little bit, then he's happy with it. So you don't have to do a lot of things. Patram pushpam phalam toyam, just a little bit. Just a small amount of stuff. Just give it to Bhagavan and you'll be happy with it. And you have to control your mind. Like Arjun says, Chanchal himana Krishna pramati valam. So he says, Asansaya mahavayo mano tutni grahachalam abhyasena tu konteya vyatina chagrihati. That means you have to keep practicing. And that is true for not only Bhagavad Gita, it's true for Sanskrit. You have to keep practicing. And once you practice, you become very good at it. So in order to learn the language, in order to appreciate Bhagavad Gita and its true essence in the real language, I think this course is amazing. So I would encourage you guys to do this. We have finished, me and Sairamji and a few others who have gone through 4 years of grueling studies, but it's really been worth it. So I would encourage all of you to join me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amitavaji. So that was really moving and incredible. And I really look forward to all of you, graduating this September. So, Sai Ramji, the floor is yours.
Okay. Namaste again, everyone. I'm really happy to be here and to share my experience. I'll just talk more about the class experience I had. I know this course is very structured and very interactive. So that's the really good part of this is because we are always Satish ji is always encouraging everyone to interact by asking questions, and so it's not like a one-way, lecture. So that keeps you really engaged and interested in the class. And with the homeworks and then the exams at the end of each quarter, so that keeps you all engaged throughout the week. It's not like you take a class on Sunday and then if you didn't have any commitments, then you might forget to spend time to review and learn Samskritam to kind of internalize it. So when you have these the homeworks and uh, exams, so it makes you to keep up with the learning and keeps you engaged in the class. And I think I really enjoy, the homeworks that we did, especially, when we started having to do a translation. We had to actually translate a story from, it was given in English and we had to translate it in Sanskrit. So that was a great learning experience, and I really enjoyed that. And then the grammar part is just amazing. Like Satish ji and Amitabh ji mentioned, this just to learn the grammar from the basics, it just makes it much more enjoyable. And then learning the fundamental concepts, how the actual the swaras, how did they come up? Those words, how did they come up? From the Maheshwara Sutrani, from that point on to the modification of all these words into using the pratyayas. So the more you learn the nuances of Sanskritam, you begin to appreciate it, even more, and you will never stop being amazed by what this rich language has to offer. Classes are fun, because one, it is a in interaction. We actually every student gets an opportunity to read the shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita. So that kind of makes you to practice, to recite, and also being in the class to recite that. So you kind of have to do that. And then we also do story reading. The textbooks are the 4 or 5 textbooks that we have are really well structured, and so we enjoy reading the stories and then trying to understand, so that everybody gets a chance to read a part of the story. And then we also do many classes, some of the role play, like being different characters and reading the stories. So those classes are very engaging, very fun. You'll love it. Um, and then so the more you learn, it encourages you to explore other texts, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata, because Satish ji is always bringing the references of all these texts, with shlokas from those scriptures, and you would want to go back and look at them and then also read, so there, and then also, you being in a class for about 4 years with your cohorts, so you develop a camaraderie with all your friends in the class, and you get, motivated and inspired by seeing, the others in the class. Like when I see Amitabh Ji, I mean, he's a professional, doctor, but he's still able to do this course, not only this course, but also the MA Sanskrit. Even I would like to do that, but, I'm afraid to take up that commitment because I'm also still working. Um, and lastly, yeah, the passion that Satish Ji has is just amazing. I mean, he is very dedicated. He, like he said, no student left behind. That's true because he makes sure that everybody is participating in the class. Everybody gets a chance, and everybody learns. And he never misses a class. I mean, in 4 years, occasionally he has to travel, so he will miss a class, but he will reschedule it. He will not, cancel that class. He'll make up. So, he's that type of passionate teacher. So, we really, really, appreciate the level of passion and commitment he brings to the classroom, and then so in return, you feel like you have to do the same thing. So, and then, yeah, being with the class for 4 years, we have had a great time, and we have a graduation ceremony, a live graduation ceremony. So I'm kind of looking forward to meeting my cohort and hopefully maybe even Satish Ji. So if you are interested in Samskritam, you should really take this class. It's great.
Thank you, Sairam Ji. That was wonderful. So let's go back to the deck. Let's talk a little bit about, can you scroll to the previous slide? Yeah, so let's go back one more slide, Ankur Ji. Okay, yeah, hold it right there. Yeah, so the lectures are once a week. Okay, so I commit to about 90 minutes of lecture every week. This particular cohort, I'm planning to do this on Friday nights at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. So it's a Friday evening. Everybody is done with their busy jobs. And this is targeted at people that are working professionals. We understand that people like you are very busy. Likewise, you heard from Sairam Ji and Amitabh Ji, both of them are pursuing very active, busy careers. But the timing of this program is to ensure that everybody can join in. So we are targeting for Friday evenings, 7 Central Time. All right, so that is the plan. Now, 90 minutes is the lecture. That is my lecture. You're going to be in the class with me. We are going to do a lot of interactive things. I'm going to teach you Sanskrit. I'm going to teach you Bhagavad Gita, etc., right? But then you're also going to have homeworks. So you're going to have homework assignments. Typically, it's about 3 to 4 assignments a quarter that you will have to do. The second thing is that every quarter you're going to have a QEE, which is a quarter end examination. So you're going to have 10 lectures in a quarter, followed by a quarter end examination. So which is going to be comprising of all the content that you learned that particular quarter. Okay, exams are open book. Okay, so you can refer to your textbooks, course material, no problem. But I'm not going to ask you anything that you can just open the book and get an answer. So you'll have to do a little bit of work to get your answers. Okay. Like I said, 3 to 4 assignments to be completed. Usually I give like a 2-week window. Sometimes I give a 3-week window to complete your assignments. And then there is also a commitment that is required from you. You come into the lecture, there's always a little bit of time that you should invest yourself, right? And I would say 1 to 3 hours a week reviewing everything that's been taught in the class, depending on your level of comprehension, your comfort level with Sanskrit, etc., etc. So then you can always, we have a chat, we have a group chat. People do actively participate in the chat. There are clarifications people ask. I do clarify on the chat also. So you have other avenues for reaching out to me. The Friday evening lecture, before you come back to the next Friday, I would suggest that you always review and recap what was taught. That always helps you continue from where we left off and also take advantage of the program a little bit more effectively. Okay, so let's move on. Next slide. See, let's talk about the Bhagavad Gita, right? So this program is Sanskrit and Bhagavad Gita. So you're going to learn all of Bhagavad Gita, all the 700 verses, without leaving even one. Now, at the outset, you don't know Sanskrit, right? So how do you learn the Bhagavad Gita? So to start with, I will handhold you and guide you through every verse. I will explain the meaning. I will tell you how the verse is constructed. How do you translate it from poetic narrative, which is how the Bhagavad Gita is structured, into a prose format. So that is called the Anvaya Karma. So creating a prose order of the words, right, of the poem. So I will do that. I will lead, handhold, explain as we go. But as you get to a point where you know some Sanskrit, I'm going to start encouraging you to start doing some of those things. I will still continue to be hand-holding you. It is not by that chapter 1, by chapter 2, you're an expert in Sanskrit. You are not going to be an expert in Sanskrit by chapter 2, but you're going to be much better than right at the start. And as we go towards subsequent chapters, chapter 2 is a big one, and then 3, 4, 5, as we deal with more details of the Bhagavad Gita. So you will be more and more independent progressively. So today, so we are in the final year, right, in the final quarter of this program, and I literally don't have to teach anything to anybody in my class. They already know it. They can read the verse, they can explain it to me in Sanskrit, right? They can tell me how the word order unfolds from the poem to the prose. They can do everything, right? They know the meanings of almost all the words. There are, sometimes when there is something intricate, that's when I intervene. But otherwise, towards the end of this program, you're almost on autopilot in terms of understanding and learning the Bhagavad Gita. We're not going to let you go. We will still teach you, no problem. Okay. Let's talk about what you need to know. You don't need to know the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I will be very clear. And neither do you need to know Sanskrit. So what you need to know, the prerequisite that we have for this program is that you should know the Devanagari script, the script that will be used for Sanskrit. That is a requirement for this program. Now, as long as you understand the script, that's fine. If you can read the script comfortable, you don't have to read and understand the meaning of what is written in the script. And that is my job, right? When you start from a foundation level, you know the script, but something's written in the script, you don't even know the meaning of that. That's fine. You can be an absolute beginner, but knowing the script will be required. Okay. So the HUA does offer, I believe, a 4 to 6 week program on the Devanagari script. So you can just learn the script. It's not very difficult. It's very easy. It's very intuitive. So if you want to come into this program and you still don't know the script yet, feel free to enroll into that program. They will teach you the script. It's very easy and it's a very nice thing to know also, because that's also the script they use for Hindi and a few other languages as well, right? So, but Sanskrit, you don't need to know any Sanskrit. Okay, you can come to this class with zero knowledge of Sanskrit and zero knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, no problem. Okay, and we will go starting from scratch. If you already know something, no problem. You can still take advantage of this class. You will get value from this class. I can assure you that on both Bhagavad Gita and Sanskrit side. All right. So let's keep rolling. Anvaya, we spoke about. Let's look at the books. So quickly, we are going to use a set of 5 books. Okay. Now, when you open these books, there is not going to be a single word of English in these books. But don't worry about it. I will start with teaching in English only. And I will explain to you the content of the book, how the language is designed, what are the basic constructs of the language. And we'll starting with creating small words, small sentences, understanding basic grammar, moving on to more difficult grammar, and then and so on and so forth. And then the Gita Pravesha books will be used for learning the Bhagavad Gita. So again, those books also do not contain any English. They are all in Sanskrit. Doesn't matter. So we will guide you through the process. All right. So let's. What else do we have? All right, let's keep rolling. Let's keep going. We covered all of this. We said, we are going to start with beginner. Beginner, you'll get intermediate, advanced, and proficient. So that's what we will do. We talked about all of these things. So you will learn Sanskrit, you will learn the Bhagavad Gita, and in the process, we'll also cover some other texts as well, right? So, like I said, in the class, we've covered Ramayana, we've even covered Sushruta Samhita, some verses from there. We've covered Arya Bhattiya, some of the famous, scientific treatises from history. We've covered a little bit of Kadambari, verses from Kadambari, and so on. So we will touch upon all those kind of trivia as well. And in the process, we also learned a lot of other stories from both history and in general. Okay. So with that, I will pause here. And I'm ready to take any questions. So do we have questions that we can take? Ankurji,
Yes.
can you answer the questions?
Yes, so let's take those questions, put them in the Q&A box, and we can get to them as you put them in. I think this was a great webinar. You covered it really well from start to finish. Having both Sairamji and Amitabhji amazing backup on this. Right now we're in a webinar, so it's kind of that one way, but I really honed in on you teach an interactive course, right? You let the students lead starting from chapter 2, and that really came through on in this whole presentation. So you were complimented that you don't miss classes and you show up every time and you make up, but students may miss classes. How does
Yeah,
that work, and how do
so
the
that is
people
perfectly
do?
fine. So all our classes are fully recorded. Okay. So we do have students that have day jobs, they have commitments, their families. You can miss classes, no problem. All our classes are recorded fully, including all interactions, as well as a whiteboard that I use to explain some concepts. All of that will be in the video. Okay. So you can just go back. If you missed a class, you go back and review the video of the class. So the full class, 90-minute class, will be on video. So all you need to do is you have a link. Typically, the class, if I did the program on Friday, it takes a couple of days for the video to come in. So you can go back and review through the video. In fact, even if you attended the class, you can go back and review the video in case some concepts need to be reviewed. All right.
Great.
Any other questions?
Dharmeshi is asking, will it always be on Fridays for all 4 phases of the program?
That is the intent. Friday night is the plan because that's also the time. So one of the things that I found is that we were doing this current cohort on Sunday nights. Okay. But I've had to do, because I also have like a full-time consulting job with Accenture, and sometimes I travel on Sundays and end up having to reschedule the class probably to the subsequent Friday or to a day that the students, majority of the students, prefer to have a makeup class. So what I'm trying to do is mitigate the need for that entirely in this upcoming cohort, because Friday nights I am not traveling anywhere. So therefore, that is the best time for me to do the class. And I've also found that it's also good for people to kind of like reset their mind. It's very refreshing to come in, learn Sanskrit, forget about the week that went by. I'm sure all of you are working, many of you are working, have other commitments and priorities. Come in on a Friday, refreshed, recharged, and then your week will really begin well. I promise you that. All right. What else?
Great. So I like the schedule. I think a lot of people have that question. And kind of bringing those both together, we have our HUA learning management system, the LMS, where you log in and all of this is easily accessible and organized. So all the infrastructure is there. I actually think, what is your capacity? How many students do you think you could take max? Because you're doing this once every 4 years. This is such an amazing program. I think you might, fill up this. What do you think? Even though it's online, you can't.
So I will, if time permitted, I would have loved to do more than one cohort. Okay. Now, given my current work schedule, at my current job, I'm accepting only one single cohort at a time. Okay, and my current cohort is passing out this September, and I'm really happy to start the program this October. Okay, so now, at this point, the plan is to do one cohort only. But however, within that cohort, we could handle a lot of students in the class. Okay, that is not a problem. So we've had schedule classes at the start where we are like 30 plus 40 students, 40 plus students at the outset. That is not a problem in terms of the number of students. But as far as cohort is concerned, I am offering one cohort, but there are other teachers at HUA that are also offering this program. And you can have other cohorts also if you wish to join into those cohorts as well. But this is the one that's going to start from ground up, from scratch. So this is the first one coming up this October that's going to start from ground zero.
That's
Does
kind
it
of what
clarify?
Dharmeshji's follow-up question was. Are you teaching all four phases or alternating with Haridasji? So I think you answered it,
No,
right? He's doing
I am
his
teaching all
cohort.
four phases. Correct. So you start with me, you end with me. You will be with me all the way through. So Haridas ji will be doing his own cohorts, and he will be doing all of his 4 years by himself.
Great.
I don't intend to swap, change, or mix with any other faculty.
So I've launched the poll. Let us know if you're interested. About 15 of you have already filled it out, and 4 people are interested. 9 people would like to know more. Yes, we'll have follow-up conversations. We'll send you a link to this recording. But if you have questions and you'd like to know more, now's the time to ask. We're here now. Whatever it is, we'd be happy to answer your questions. We still got some time before the top of the hour. I've also asked about an upcoming astronomy retreat that we're doing in Florida. And we're doing more HOA events in your area. Now, Satishi, I know this is one of those things where you're busy and you've got full-time job and you can only take one cohort, but you know, the vibrations hit differently when you're in person. So if we can do some workshops at a local mandir or a retreat at our Pine Lake, that's something that we are happy to take forward, as sometimes these webinars, people have good ideas and just like to put it out there. Yeah, so that's a third question I have in this poll. So let us know, fill it out. What do you think, Satishi?
Regarding the retreat.
Sure, yeah.
See, the retreat is really a good one. So I have been in one of these in the past, not recently, and I have personally found it to be very valuable. So I would encourage people, if they do have the ability, to join the retreats. As far as I'm concerned, I will try to as much as possible, and whenever time permits, I will be there. There's a question there. Tell us about the books and where to get them. So the books will be sent to you. You don't have to get the books. So when you enroll into the program, the books will be given to you. Okay. So you will not have to go buy the books yourself or anything like that. The books will arrive at your doorstep.
Nice. We try to make it easy to learn, right? I know there's a lot of different places, and so you need structure, you need discipline, and as Satishi has been accredited with, he's got a whole system that works. You start not even being able to read and comprehend the Saṃskṛtam, and at the end, you're leading the class. So Ed had that question of Devanagari script. It is a prerequisite. I've got 2 courses and even a short program. We were trying to put together like a weekend retreat where you just become familiar with the script and the sounds, so that you can in one weekend, and 2 weekends is where we're at, is the shortest, but we're trying. And if that is your barrier, enroll in something else. You still have until October. Maybe you could get it. We'll try to do one beforehand. People also need to brush up maybe, and they feel like a little bit of working on it would be good. So Ed,
The
thank you for that.
Devanagari script, the script itself is not very difficult. So like I said, I would say it's a weekend or maybe a couple of weekends. Okay. So if you want, you can just enroll into that program. Couple of weekends, Ankurji, is that what it is? The Devanagari script?
Yeah, we have it as a 2-week workshop. That was in person though.
In-person workshop. Okay. So that's that about Devanagari script. And then was there another question?
Yeah, Dhruv, this webinar
The
will be
webinar,
available. We'll be
yes.
able to share it. The link will be emailed. Yeah, a lot of that questions. Yeah, no, we'll send the links again. Everyone will get the information about this webinar, how to register, and on those links that I shared earlier, maybe I'll reshare them. That goes to the certificate program page, right, where you can actually register right there, right? October 9th is going to be the first class, 8 p.m. Eastern, Fridays, and it'll go on for until you can speak Saṃskṛtam, speak and read. So take a look at that. We have a little bit of time, so whatever questions you didn't get to ask today, please do send them our way.
If you don't mind, I'll put
Yeah,
another
please.
plug
We
on
have some
this.
time.
Yeah, this I plug for this course for this. It's an amazing course. You get 2 for 1. You start as a novice and you become an expert in Sanskrit. Not only that, you learn the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. So you get 2 for 1. It's amazing, and this is a great stepping stone for doing your masters. If you're interested in Sanskrit and you want to progress more, you can just very quickly step into your master's program and do your master's. That's another 4 years. But it gives you a great stepping stone. And as my early teacher, Chandrasekhar Raghu used to say, Shraddhavam labhyate jnanam. If you work hard and put your work in it, you will get jnanam. And it's a quotation from the Bhagavad Gita. So.
What is your question on the program timelines for the Devanagari? So you will be emailing the audience, right?
Yeah, we'll include that in the follow-up email.
Okay.
And just for kicks, you could also take the Sanskrit proficiency exam. See where you line up on that. We'll share some of those other links. But this seems to be such an amazing program. The timing is good. This is an opportunity to be in a cohort where you've a lot of people answered, I know a little bit about Sanskrit and a little bit about the Bhagavad Gita. You can go from a little to a lot in a short time. Sairamji, why don't you share a little bit more?
Yeah, like I said, the things that I really enjoyed about this class is being able to explore not only the Gita but also other texts, and having a group is also good because we have a chat group that we interact with, and we exchange ideas, and we're excited and now looking forward to working on a project this semester, this quarter. We've been working on homeworks in the past 3 years, and this is going to be a very more group project work. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Nice. Actually, to build on that and maybe ask Amici a question, right? You're a medical doctor, right? A Kentucky surgeon. Now, there's so many different ways that we can apply Sanskritam, and there's so many texts. How are you on the Ayurvedic front? Have you been looking at say the what is it, the Charaka Samhita, right? There's so many other texts, and then
Yeah.
maybe some broader application if you would share.
So my family has been Ayurvedic doctors for 52 generations. So I have a very strong tradition in Ayurvedic medicine. However, being a surgeon, I'm interested in Sushruta Samhita. So we are working on Sushruta Samhita, and as a part of my master's program, we have to do a project. And so that is going to be my project. And I'm also part of a committee by the government of India where we have to make models of all his instruments, read the Samhita and make the models of all his instruments and make a museum for Sushruta in the next few years.
Excellent. So I think there's a question here, will participants receive a certificate after the webinar? So you certainly will receive a certificate after the program, but I'm not sure you're going to get a certificate for attending this webinar. So the answer to that is no. Okay, but we will share the content of the webinar so you can refer to it. Okay.
Yeah, and thank you for attending. Appreciate you attending the webinar. We do a lot of different
Yeah.
webinars. I can't believe it's been 4 years since you've even done a webinar, Satishi. I mean,
Yeah.
upon hearing about the certificate program, it's an amazing program. Thank you for leading an entire cohort again. Um, and I think as your students, progress, it builds into that Hindu ecosystem, right? This Sanskrit resurgence, the rejuvenation that's happening across the world. We need great teachers like you. We need students like Sairamji and Amici. And Hindu University of America is here to do our part, right? A connective tissue, not of a single sampradaya, but the infrastructure for us to relearn and reshare. And I speak English. I feel so embarrassed when I can't pronounce things properly and all of that. But it's okay. I go forward with where we're at, and I really appreciate everything that you're doing. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Let's go
I
around
want
one
to
more
just
time. We can do
I
like
want to
one
give
round
one
of yeah.
closing comment here, Ankurji.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
And I just want to talk a little bit about Sanskrit. Okay. Now, you don't have to be Indian to learn Sanskrit. You don't have to be Hindu to learn Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit is very unique. It sits very close to the root of the Indo-European family tree of languages. And it retains some characteristics and properties that are so unique to languages that are so old, right? The second thing about Sanskrit is that when Panini came and he prose and codified the language, he did something that was phenomenal. And that is, he gave us the ability to go back and look at what languages and communication was like in the past. Because if you see all the peer languages of Sanskrit, there aren't many anymore. There rarely are, right? And even if there are, they've evolved, they've morphed, they've changed so much. But the beauty of Sanskrit is that it has not changed. And the second thing is that the the power, the structure, and the brevity of a language. It's a very scientific language. People think it's a language of the shastras, religious festivals, etc., etc. But one thing I want to just emphasize here is that Sanskrit's true strength was in its precision and in its brevity. And that is why you will find that in the most earliest uh, periods of, I would say, are between during the golden age of the Guptas, right? Sanskrit basically pioneered many important things that are fundamental to the modern world. But the first thing that comes to mind is the decimal system. The decimal system came to existence in Sanskrit. When Aryabhatta went and introduced the concept of the half chord, the jia, the sine curve, right, in his research, and by through that he basically literally invented trigonometry. All of that happened in Sanskrit. When Shushruta wrote his medical treatise on surgery, that was in Sanskrit. Likewise, we were talking about in a chat about Charaka Samhita. So there are so many great works that came out of Sanskrit because of the nature of the language. So first of all, it's precise, it is terse, and it does not carry a lot of blow, right? Like typical vernacular. So you will learn something that is very unique. And that is the second thing is also, if you are into computational linguistics or computer science or programming or anything, you will even more appreciate how the language is structured, right? From the perspective of its generative grammar, how there are syntax declarations and how they convert into functions, and how the grammar of the word of the language is generated, right? In Sanskrit, you could say, just give me a dhatu, give me the dhatus and the pratyayas, and I'll go and conquer the world, right? So you can do anything with that. So that is the speciality of Sanskrit as a language. Okay, so do not hesitate, do not be intimidated to take on the language. It is easy, I promise you, and it will only be a wonderful experience as you go from here. All right. With that, I will pause and I will end the seminar unless there are any final questions. So there's a question here. I've struggled for some reason vocabulary in the past when learning French and Latin, so hesitate to take on a new language. Add to that age that presents challenges of its own. How can or does one address this when considering this course? Do not worry about that. This course is not a very difficult course. And secondly, the vocabulary will come gradually. We do have people that are 60, 70 plus in this particular cohort that is graduating. So if they can do it, you can do it as well. So the trick with vocabulary is always a little bit of practice and regular attendance, and make a lot of notes, right? And you will automatically get to it. And then work on all the assignments. When you do the assignments, you'll automatically improve your vocabulary and also improve your grammatical constructs. So I would say don't be intimidated. It is easy. Okay.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you everyone for participating.
Thank you all.
It is always my pleasure to host these webinars. Hopefully you'll enroll, we'll follow up. If you haven't filled out the poll, let us know one way or the other. Fill it out, take a quick second. Amitji, amazing to connect with you. I hope you continue taking this forward and continue to be part of Hindu University of America. Sairamji, nice to meet you and appreciate your sharing your testimonial. Satishji, amazing work that you're doing. Appreciate you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone.